Negotiations are typically extremely tough in terms of transfers. After all of the interested parties want the best for themselves. They're all pushing for higher fees, higher wages, or to make things as cheap as possible if you're the buying club. But in some cases, clubs' hands can be tied and they can be stopped from really having those discussions and negotiations, and things get tougher. And that's the case with a release clause, which a current Leeds United target reportedly has in their contract with their club. Find out a little bit more about that in a moment. But first, subscribe. Cheers. I'm aiming for 4,000 before the start of the season, so it'd be massively appreciated to get you all on board. Anyway, the Whites are currently chasing Liam Miller. He currently plays for the Canadian national team, and I think in theory is currently considered a Basel player. However, you might remember him from Preston last season when he played against Leeds United a fair bit. I've just realised I've put my two cameras next to each other. I might have been looking into the wrong one. Sorry about that. So whilst you might think of him as a Preston player, because that's where you've seen him, he's actually owned by Basel, a club in Switzerland, and he only has one single year left on his contract, which is a really, really good thing, because a single year on a contract means that the value of that player is just sort of toppling down a little bit. It's a little bit low, and it means that obviously they don't want to release him for a free next year, so you might as well sell him at some point now. However, that value that will be toppling and toppling and toppling anyway is limited even further by the fact he has a release clause with his club, which is great. It means that they can't do any negotiating. And in addition to that, we do have a very clear interest, because it was reported by The Athletic, who tend to be like the gold standard when it comes to reliable, listen-toable sources, just because their journalists are really, really good. Sorry, Phil Hay, I know you're not quite doing the Leedsy stuff anymore, but Nancy's as good as you. We're apparently one of a number of clubs eyeing Liam Miller, with the majority of them being in the Championship, because obviously the Championship clubs have been like watching him a little bit and thinking, oh, he's quite good for this level. That includes Burnley and Sheffield United, who've come down from the Premier League just now. And importantly, he can play as a left wing back or a winger. Looking at that, those are both roles that we quite badly need. At left back, we currently have Junior Firpo and then question mark. At left wing, we're potentially going to lose Crescencio Somerville. Jaden Anthony's already gone back. On the other flank, we've got Nonto and James, and we're still not sure on Nonto. So getting wingers and players that can play on the wings in general is probably a very, very good thing for us to do. In addition to him being in the perfect position for us, he also outperformed his XG last season. He had an XG of something like 3.2, managed to score 5 despite playing basically as a left back for Preston for a lot of the year. Really good footballer. That's all I really want to say on this. He gave Archie Gray a hell of a time. And talking about his performances against Leeds United, he got a goal and 2 assists against us across the 2 matches. This means that not only is he good in terms of like a technical level, but we have actually seen ourselves that he has a very good level of footballing ability. He's used it against Leeds. We know he can do it at this level, and he's really good at breaking down a very strong defence, because let's be honest, that Leeds defence last season wasn't a joke in the slightest. We played Preston, I think, once on Boxing Day, which was a really, really bad defeat. That one didn't feel great. And we played them shortly after Boxing Day, which was when we were in that really, really good defensive streak where we were just winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And the fact that he was able to secure an assist against us in that match is huge, and it shows that there's a lot of talent in him. You also need to think of it from a financial perspective. When transfers happen nowadays, you don't just look at the transfer itself on the quality of the move, because you've got FFP and PRS and all that stuff to sort of deal with at the same time. And thinking financially, I think he is an ideal move. First up, he's a solid Championship player, at the very least. He is still 24, so he's got room to develop a little bit. Admittedly, not as young as a Somerville, so he's not going to be that direct replacement in terms of, is his ceiling as high as Somerville? But then again, very few player ceilings are quite as high as Somerville. But he's a very good, very solid Championship player who proved that he was good at attacking when he was playing at left back, which tells me that at left wing, he's just going to be given even more freedom and get a lot more goal involvement. So he got 27 starts last season for 10 goal involvements. Not bad in the slightest, especially when 3 of those involvements were against us. Add on to that the fact that he's got a release clause, so that does limit the sale price. He was signed by Basel for, I think, £1.3 million initially. It might have been from Liverpool off the top of my head. But that means that his release clause is going to be enough to earn them a profit, because they will have wanted to profited no matter what. But it won't be that high, especially if it's causing clubs to look at him in this sort of interested manner. I'd think something between 3 to 5 million euros, maybe, which is great value, to be honest, for someone that's proven to be a decent enough quality championship player. Add on to that the fact that his versatility is ideal. Signing Liam Miller, we're not just signing a left winger, we're signing a left back. Both positions that we will need going into this season. And he's unlikely to have huge wage demands either. Think about it. He's been at Basel where the money isn't really flush in the Swiss league. He's gone to Preston, who don't have that much cash, but he's still been on that Basel contract. If he's coming to Leeds United, that's his first opportunity to have a decent large contract. But even then, we're going to be clever with the negotiations because we will be looking at a lot of players at this point. And the moment someone pushes for a wage that is higher than we think they're worth, we're going to say, no, you can have this wage, or we'll look at someone else. We're in a strong negotiating position on this one, I think. Plus, there's the fact that he's almost certainly going somewhere this year. There's no way Basel hold on to him for another season. He's not going to go back out on loan for a year because that wouldn't make any sense for them to do. Because if they send him out on loan for a year, well done, you've not got a fee at the end of the day. They need to sell him now, or they need to extend his contract. But he doesn't seem to want to be at Basel. So them selling is completely rational, and it means that it's going to be fairly easy to try and prize him away from the club. However, it is very important to note that although there is clear interest here and it's being reported from all over the shop and it's a move that makes sense, if we do sign him, which is still an if, because we do have competition from Preston are back in for him, for example, Sheffield United, Burnley, lots and lots of clubs like this guy. If we do get the move done, odds are it could wait until the new financial year after the 30th of June. Reportedly, this is when Betis and us are waiting to complete the Mark Rocker deal because we're waiting for his loan period to come to an end. It might just be cleaner in terms of paperwork to do that. And it just sort of seems a bit rational for us to wait until the new financial year rather than stack some more losses into this financial year, which would cause some potential PSR issues, or at least worsen some existing worries rather than actual problems. I'm not 100% sure where we are on PSR at the moment, but anything we can do to make it easier, we will do and we should do. Ultimately, I think this is a fantastic opportunity to complete a move. Yes, it might have to wait until July, but we've still got a full pre-season in that instance, and he'll be away with the Canadian national team either way, so it won't make that much of a difference. I kind of hope we sign Liam Miller because he's got a lot of talent about him. Wouldn't cost too much on the PSR, especially when you consider amortizing the costs, which would be, what, 3 million euros over a 5-year contract? 600k a year. That's brilliant for the losses. But I do ultimately want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below whether you think we should sign Liam Miller, whether you think it's a good idea, bad idea. Let me know ultimately what sort of targets we need to be going after. I think Miller is the sort of right idea for a target where he's a good standard for the league that we are in and has a little bit of room to grow. But if you think we need to be pushing harder, let me know. Like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are not yet. Again, help me push towards that 4,000. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. I do sort of hope that we get Miller. Let's go full Kaiser Chiefs. I predict a Miller. Don't know whether it's happening or not, but we'll see. See you later.